When we speak with Heavenly Father, we speak with deity, and it's important to remember that. Elder Holland and President Eyring really give some great suggestions on how to keep our prayers both meaningful and respectful. Give it a look.
I've had experiences, they're very personal, so you don't talk completely about them, but of absolute assurance that I heard the voice of God. Absolute. It hasn't happened very often, but I'll tell you this, every time it's ever happened, of the times it's happened, I was quiet inside. Saying, be modest in your expectations. God is close and He loves you and He'd love to have a conversation, but remember, He is God, because it is not easy. Heavenly Father's words, His ideas are not exactly ours. And so the idea of having really a conversation where you're chatting with Heavenly Father is probably a little bit of a lofty goal. I pray as if He's there, as if He is listening. And He is listening. I believe He's always sending messages to me. I really do. But sometimes there's long silences, for me at least. In fact, I've been with people who chat as if they're chatting. You know, when I've heard them pray, and I thought, you're a little more familiar than I am. I would think that if you can just get the feeling that He is hearing you, and then if on occasion answers come back, often clearly in your mind, sometimes not, maybe by just reading the scriptures, the answer comes that way. I do a lot of the asking, and then I wait, and then I wait, and then answers come, but not in what you call a conversational mode.
Not every prayer is going to be able to be so carefully focused, but some prayers should be, if you want this depth, and it won't be casual, it won't be overly familiar. Remembering an example that President David O. McKay gave, when he said for some of his prayers, and probably not all, but for some of his prayers, he would go into a darkened room, a private room, with the curtains drawn, and he would kneel in the center of the room, not on a chair and not against a bed. He'd kneel in the center of the room, and he would kneel and say nothing. This is not at the end of the prayer. This is before the prayer started. He would say nothing for a matter of minutes until he felt like he was worthy to approach the throne of the Lord, to come before deity. And he was dressed properly and approached God that way, and he would pray, and then he would wait. Then he would wait and give the Lord an answer, a way to answer and speak back. Now that's more formal than some of our prayers will be, and it's more formal than some of mine are. But since those teachings have come into our lives, from time to time, we try to do that, and we try to do it among the general authorities of the church to make sure that some prayers are that carefully prepared to go before deity.
If we will prepare and really see ourselves as coming to the throne of God, then remarkable things can come, but it probably never casual.
Yeah, but at night, we were exhausted. We were she'd been raising children, and I'd been off to school or work or something, and we could hardly stay awake. And we just decided that there's no requirement that this has to be a prayer at 11 o'clock at night when you can hardly form the words. We just moved it up. We just took a time and said, we're going to pray together earlier, and it won't be flopped against the bed or almost asleep by the time you get into the conversation with the Lord. You really think through how you're going to do this, and what are some of the optimum benefits and circumstances that can provide that.
There's a beautiful way of thinking of that God is real, He's in a throne. And when I approach in prayer, I'm approaching a throne.